Welcome to Old Guys Still Rock. Super grateful you gave us a look or a listen. We specifically developed this podcast for friends, or soon-to-be friends, who are in the 40-plus category. This podcast is a platform to not only have your voices be heard, but also for others who are going through the same thing and know that they too aren't alone. Our topics may be business, topics may be entrepreneurship, our topics may be social, or our topics may be just everyday life. Whatever it is, we hope that you give it a share and leave us a comment. But most of all, if you want your voice to be heard, please leave us a comment on how to get a hold of you so you too can be an old guy that still rocks and help build our community. Until we speak again, stay safe, but most of all, God bless. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you may be when you're watching this. This is your first time here. I am Blair Armstrong, and on my right is Brent Wright. We're going to get into some formal introductions, but this is Old Guys Still Rock. We are in episode number 65 today. 65, man. It always, every time I put these numbers in, when we put these out to YouTube and to Spotify, always amazed, like, wow, we've done 65 episodes. So again, if this is your first time here, we are one of the world's best podcasts that you have never seen before in your life. So welcome. And we're going to have a good time today. We definitely talk about, as you heard about the intro, sometimes we're going to talk about entrepreneurial stuff. Sometimes we're going to talk about business stuff, and people are like, those are the same. They're not the same. And we can get into that a little bit later, or we're just going to talk about everyday life. Today we are going to talk about, it seems what it is it's in the air. It's a temperature of what's going on in society, and business, and maybe even just at home, but conflict, right? Yeah. What's good? What's right? What's wrong? What should I say? What should I not say? So I'm glad that, God spoke into you to bring this subject in. Yeah. Because literally, I think I've already been in conflict today with as much as I love social media right now, I absolutely despise it. Because it just gets me twisted, dude.
So here's the cool part about what I wanted to talk about. I sent you that with no preface.
Right.
Because I wanted to see where you would go with it. It was a bait. Not a bait and switch, just a bait, right? Here, take the bait, see if I can reel you in. So my process with are you in conflict, everybody tends to go that way, right? Am I in conflict? Am I struggling with what's going on around me? All those things. I think we need to look at it a little bit differently and use it as a tool. Am I in conflict because of outside influences, or am I in conflict because I purposely put myself in conflict for good reasons and bad reasons? Or is it just the concept of I've always been in conflict, so therefore I know nothing else other than conflict, and I chase and seek conflict because otherwise I don't feel successful, I don't feel challenged, I don't feel validated, I don't feel like getting up in the morning unless there's conflict. See how I flipped that clear on its lid?
All right, everybody, you ready? Get on your couch, get a pillow, get your coloring books and your crayons and all that stuff. And we're going to strap in because Brent just hit some triggers on me, boy, that I am going to go ahead and just feed into you. And this is, for those who've watched our earlier episodes, have been very transparent about over the course of the last couple of months of seeing a therapist and kind of getting some stuff that mentally grew up with. Not a bad thing, but it's out there. So you want to know what happened? You can go back to past episodes and you can dig around. Sooner or later, we're going to have guys like Andy and tell us what episode that is. But I don't know what it is. I just know that we talked about it. But anyway, going back to your spot on conflict, I think it's kind of been ingrained in me that if someone's going to put you into a spot of to defend yourself, you're going to come out swinging.
Mm-hmm.
And I got kind of good at it. And it seems like and then I think what you're right. I allow myself to get into it because I'm like, oh man.
Or do you seek it for validation?
I'm not really seeking it in validation. I think that, doing these 65 episodes, I think that we've given so much information that it's been really from the heart and the transparency. I'm not saying that everything that we've said is right, but we've given it to where there's not really an agenda. And we're giving life instances of what we're doing and of different things of what's going on in the world and doing some different things. I see.
Sorry, I got some notes here I've been taking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all right, man.
Completely relevant.
Good. But I see this stuff and I'm like, I think right now, especially, just what happened, honest to God, a half hour ago,
because you said you were coming in hot, so something must have happened.
Well, I'm coming in hot at two reasons. And we just got done with the photo shoot for a new property that we have coming on next week. So I was 20 minutes away and I made it here in 10 minutes. Do not tell the law enforcement. Anyway, with that being said, but that was the reason why I was coming in hot. The other reason this is my fault. I go through stuff with people posting stuff because of, I'm going to say it, it's wrong information. And I want to correct them, but then I get then I start getting in debates and I'm like, what's the point? And this is going to come out the wrong way. And if you don't follow us and stuff like this, it's nothing against anybody, but there are people in this world that are useful idiots that spread bad information. And it's a detriment to our society right now. And I want to be this savior that comes off the white horse, which we know that there's no white horse. And like, stop with this stuff. It's not right. And so I get into debates and it goes on and on and on. And finally I realized that after about the second, third interaction, like, what's the point?
Well,
one thing is, I also don't want, I'm done of sitting back and letting other people dictate what's going to happen with society. And I think that's really what it's come down to is let's get everybody so frustrated that we're just not going to say anything and we're going to completely run our agenda. And that's where now I'm nervous about. How's that for a rant?
Yeah. So that takes me back to, probably early on, first through 6 episodes, where we talked about being the watchman, right? Instead of the policeman. And what I love is people that post on social media, man, I'm so sick and tired of the keyboard warriors. But you were just a keyboard warrior by posting that, right?
Absolutely.
And so you're seeking conflict, although psychologically you might not enjoy conflict. You might not believe you're seeking it, but by doing that, you're validating someone else's conflict and buying into their conflict. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about conflict wasn't to head down this road. It was to talk about the most successful people in the world that have been studied. We're talking Carnegie, Ford, all the big ones in the early 20s and 30s. Goes back to Napoleon Hills. There's a whole laundry list of people in Think and Grow Rich that he studied. These people, most of them were successful because of the way that they handled conflict. So not in squelching conflict, not in being a stoic to conflict, but and again, not seeking out conflict, but excelling in light of conflict. They became engineers to fix outcomes, right? And to plan and chess move outcomes. So they took conflict and flipped it on its lid and turned it into something super positive. And so that's my challenge to everybody listening, including you, including me.
Absolutely.
Is to take conflict and and see it for what it is. It's an opportunity for growth and prosperity.
Yeah, it's funny now that you said you bring that up today. That was part of our devotional this morning. It's a lot of people, and again, those who have tuned in for the first time, that Brent and I have an extremely deep faith. But there's a lot of people in this world that don't understand the Bible, and that's okay. I mean, it's a choice, and it's not a bad thing.
Including me, I'm still learning about it every day.
Right. However, those who have decided to have a relationship with Christ, you are walking, talking version of the Bible. And it goes back to what you said, that we are an example how to handle conflict, regardless of what you feel about Jesus or not believe in him or God. God did not want conflict. He wanted, what do I want to call it right now? Just
lesson filled communication is what.
Yeah. You wanted communication, right? Work together. We are one body. We work together. Everybody has a place into it, and conflict, and that's what you wanted. And when you create conflict, bad things happen. And that's, I think, what's bad. Brent is saying too. I have found myself, and again, Therapy Thursdays, here we are. You find yourself right now, it's just like, again, the temperature's so high, and like, I can't sit back and just watch what's happening. And it's more, for me, it's more, as of right now, it's more in an economic stance. Social issues are going to be social issues, and people are going to have differences on social issues, whatever that may be. Right now, in my world, I'm looking down a barrel of like the economy, and I think it's actually in anybody's world. If the economy keeps going the way that it's going, we're in a little bit of hurt. And I think that's where learning the stuff that I've learned from you with economics and how to, with money and all these different things, it's people that I've surrounded myself with money. That is where I'm searching out now conflict for people that don't. That's my fault. And I'm admitting it's my fault. I'm searching out conflict at times because, like, if we follow this person economically, we're going to be ruined. And I do not want to see that for people. And so that's why I'm chasing conflict once in a while. And I have to learn, like, listen, I just need to go be an example, be a leader, do all the things that have been ingrained in me to teach others to do it the right way instead of being argumentative about it. Like, hey, instead of talking about this, what do you think about if we looked at it this way?
So I'll give you a cheat code, a little bit of help, a little bit of tools here. When you're dealing with conflict in the way that you're talking about, right? You have to ask yourself, will this matter 7 generations from now? Will this matter 7 minutes from now? 7 hours from now? 7 days from now? Right? And so on. But during that process, you need to be able to slow your mind down to a point where you can respond and respond appropriately and stop being the policeman and start being the watchman. You need to develop, we talked about emotional intelligence, right? Last episode, right? With emotional intelligence comes the ability for problem segmentation. There are a few people that I follow that talk about things like 8-minute meetings and 12-minute meetings. Is this an 8-minute problem or a 12-minute problem? They do effective emotional intelligence and problem segmentation, and they are engineering their outcome in every instance. I struggle with some of these things, which is why I wanted to bring this up, because I'm learning and growing about problem segmentation. I'll give you a story. So day 32, 75 hard.
That's good, dude. You're almost halfway there.
My boy, day 32 of 75 hard.
Good job, Lincoln.
And he just turned 8. So we're on our walk, not this morning, but yesterday morning. Now I say walk. Walk to a lot of people means like a leisurely stroll. This is at pace. And we're doing 2.5 to 3 miles in 45 minutes or less. And I got an 8-year-old hanging onto my hand because he doesn't want to slow me down. I asked him the other day, why are you holding my hand all the time? He says, because I don't want to slow you down. If I hold your hand, I'll keep up. He's learning solutions, problem segmentation, right? He's learning how to engineer the result. And so we had an altercation. I want to call it an altercation with the paper guy. The paper guy comes in hot, almost hits us, drives down the middle of the road, 20, 25 miles an hour, and has his bright lights on. Now, we're out in the country.
Yeah. Yeah. People don't know you.
Right.
Right.
And this guy drives it every day. So he's driving like an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
And he sees us and still doesn't like acknowledge. You know, typically when you see somebody on a country road walking at 5 a.m, you'll like slow down, make sure there's nobody else around, make sure there's not a dog that's following them. A lot of people walk their dogs on our road without a leash.
Right.
Silly, I know, but it's true because we are out in the country and there's very limited traffic. The guy flips a Betty, hauls past us, and really super close, 1.5 feet, 2 feet away in a very unsafe manner. Now, bear in mind, I've got Lincoln off to the side of the road. I've gotten off the side of the road, and this guy's just going by us. He goes across the street. He puts the paper in the other paper box and then proceeds. At this point, we've almost reached him and crossed the road. And he flips around, burns out in the gravel, slings gravel all over us, and then comes by us and another 1.5 feet, 2 feet away. I have a very deep-seated issue with problem segmentation at this point. Okay?
Yeah.
So I also know that I'm here to teach my boy, right, wrong, defend when harm is, apparent, and things like that. And so I push him out of the way and I threw up my hands and stepped closer to the guy as he's going past me. And I yelled at him, slow the F down. He just starts name calling me as he's driving away and then stops. And I stop. And I said, we got 2 choices. You can get out and deal with this like a man, or you can drive off and call me names. So he chose to drive off and call me names. My son says, I don't like that paper guy anymore. I said, well, tell me more. So we go down the road of him talking about like the guy put us in an unsafe situation. He was rude. And he started talking about not being lucky with the paper guy. And so we started talking about luck, educating him about luck versus, divine intervention and things like that. And what we came up with it after about 20 minutes of going down to our turnaround point, he calls it the nothing tree because nothing grows on it because it's not a fruit tree. Super cool. I learned a lot from this kid, right?
So smart dude.
We go past the apple tree, and that's the apple tree. And then the next tree doesn't have any fruit. So he calls it the nothing tree, right? So, cause it's got nothing on it. Silly dado. Why'd you ask that? Right. So we formulate this thought afterwards that, maybe God put us in this situation so that way we would have problem segmentation. Would give us an opportunity. We also came up with the fact that maybe this guy's having a bad day and maybe we needed to pray for him. So we did. The other thing that came up was that he appreciates me because I make sure that him, his sister, and his mama are safe. And I'm always there to defend them. So he's come up with all these thoughts. So we go down this road. And I just said, do you feel that conflict was avoidable? And he said, well, I don't know. And I asked him what more about that. And so we got down to it. And essentially, he didn't believe that conflict was unavoidable. And I explained to him, I could have made it a choice not to yell at the guy. He said, but then you wouldn't have been defending us. And so out of the mouth of babes, it comes, right? Mm-hmm. And so that is one side of conflict. The other side, like I've been talking about, is are you putting yourself in conflict so that way you can create opportunities for success every day? Or are you putting yourself in conflict because you're seeking out validation, vindication, some other opportunity to feed whatever demon is going on inside of you?
Such a wide range of where you could take conflict. Obviously, what I explained here couple minutes ago, kind of what you explained there a couple minutes ago. And then obviously on a business side, what Brent is saying about conflict to help you get better, you can create obstacles in your path, conflict, to drive you to become better. What happened to you, in essence, could drive conflict into you. Like, okay, how do I become better out of this situation? What happened to me chasing down social media stuff, which is irrelevant. It creates conflict. And I can go back and reflect on it. I'm like, listen, that was stupid. What was the point of that? There was a much better way to handle that. Trying to suppress people's thought patterns is not the right way to handle that type of conflict. Be an example, come up with stuff to it. I think that is, you said something earlier too, and I'm just, again, triggers in my mind to go back, is that we're becoming very accustomed to becoming keyboard warriors, which you said.
Yeah.
Instead of just a thought, hey, how about you and I grab lunch and talk to it face to face, or do something. I know we have technology, do something like this, invite them on there. What are your thoughts? Have these, this is what I'm thinking, right? We have Zoom, we have Microsoft Teams. We obviously have one of the greatest podcasts in the world, Old Guys Still Rock.
That's right, buddy.
He could get it in here. And I think that is, we become very comfortable of creating conflict and hiding behind the keyboard, which we've talked about many times in there, instead of really getting face to face and knowing like why do you think that way? What are some of the examples so I can understand you better?
We talked about it about 4 or 5 episodes ago, 6 episodes ago. One cheat code. Tell me more.
Right. Tell me more. Right.
Right.
Tell me more.
Really get to know the person and make sure people feel valued, even when things aren't going well. And even when you don't agree with them. And then one of the key things, another cheat code, is only deal with what's real. Only deal with what's real, not emotions. We talked about that last time. Part of emotional intelligence. Is what they're saying real to them? Put yourself in their shoes. So maybe they feel this way because someone in their family was victimized, right? Or maybe they feel this way because they had a death in the family and it was because of XYZ and that affected them, right? And so really getting to know the person, like you said, bring them on, figure out a way to communicate with them and squelch conflict.
Yeah. Again, conflict would be also positive, what we said too. And I know we're kind of focusing on the negative side. Well, at least I'm focusing on the negative side of conflict right now. But here is, we talk about this a lot. The powers that be, you have the good force and the dark force. I mean, that's why we have good guys, bad guys movies, and Star Wars. There was the Rebel Alliance and, and all that stuff, right? They want, the dark side wants us to be in conflict. 99.999% of this world wants harmony, but there has been so much division because of the channels that we pay attention to, no matter what it is. I'm talking social media to mass media, whatever it is to it. So we've all picked our sides. We've dug in our heels. And that's exactly what the dark side wants us to concentrate on. Conflict. Because if we're in conflict, then it's a lot easier to get things on the dark side agendas happen. If we're in harmony, none of that plan works. And that's going back to what I was talking about biblically earlier.
Not just harmony, united, collective thoughts.
Right. And that's a whole nother rabbit hole. I'm just going to stay away from it right now.
Because that's another podcast.
Yeah. I mean, there's just something, I'll say that they're placating the word harmony and trying to turn it into something that is not good at all.
Truly, from my opinion, it's not. Harmony is comfort.
Harmony is comfort, right?
And comfort is stagnation.
Yeah. I wouldn't say there's harmony in a way of you. I think that you said to harmony in a united front, that people are working together in harmony and not in this kumbaya stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone running their lane, it's always been to it. This is, you have arms that do certain things. You have legs that do certain things. Your heart does certain things. Your intestines do certain things. Your eyes do certain things. Your brain does certain things. Your ears do certain things. I mean, you get where I'm going with this. Every part of the body has a certain role, and without it, adjustments have to be made. The point Brent is making in here: are you in conflict? And obviously talking about the negative side to it, is making sure that body, that could be your neighbor, could be my good friend Brent Wright, it could be my wife, it could be my son and my grandkids, or people I see on the golf course. Am I working in harmony with their attributes to make society a better place? And in that, there will be conflict, but that conflict could be driven to help you get better.
Yeah. So let's go back to caveman days.
Okay.
Caveman wakes up. Immediately, he's in conflict. The first thing he's in conflict with is, I'm hungry. Second thing he's in conflict, if he's got a cave wife and cave kids, they're hungry. Now he's got an agenda. The agenda is go drag something back to the cave. So then he puts himself in conflict with trying to kill something that's also trying to kill him. And one of them wins. Some days it's the caveman wins. Some days it's the animal, right? And then if the animal wins, then his family's in conflict because they have nobody to bring anything back to the cave and nobody to defend them, right? So this goes back, a millennia, if you will, if you believe in millennia. Again, a whole nother podcast. To times when we were just executing on raw survivability. And for many thousands of years, that's the way it's been. Even in, I want to say, modern societies, 2,000 years ago, every day was a struggle. We didn't have running water. We didn't have electricity. We didn't have all the modern conveniences. There was no microwave to warm up your stuff. There was no ice to cool your salt drink, et cetera, et cetera. So the conflict you are in was survivability. And now, with the absence of having to survive every day, are you naturally creating conflict to feed that habit that's been created in your DNA? You might even be perpetuating that habit on a daily basis, right? Seeking validation, vindication, and all the things we talked about earlier for that conflict. Here's another cheat code for you. Lots of nuggets today.
Absolutely.
Never mistake habit for wisdom. Okay. So if your habit is conflict, is that truly wisdom? Well, it depends. It depends on how you utilize conflict. Are you utilizing it in a business sense? Are you engineering favorable outcomes because of conflict? Are you using it for problem segmentation? Throw you an idea here. Problem segmentation, just as a visual. So you purposely start an altercation to drive an end result that you're seeking in business, personal life, or otherwise. Is that happy, healthy conflict? Is it opportunistic conflict? I guess it depends on how you use it. Are there people that are goading you on social media knowing that they can get a response out of you, and your response is then feeding their ego? And that conflict that you feels like fight or flight, and the conflict they feels like validation.
Absolutely, 100%.
I hear you, feel you, and smell you thinking. Tell me what your thoughts are, buddy.
Well, I just go back to the interactions over the last couple of days and stuff. Sometimes I partake in it. Sometimes I'm like, what? It's their journey. It's their road. I can only create the atmosphere that is around me. I cannot create an atmosphere that is not around me. social media is not around me. It's not going to make or break my life. And you're right. In 7 days, is that going to make anything with as much fluid information as that we receive on an everyday basis? I mean, a thought can change in a second. It's the wisdom what you're getting out of it. How do you utilize it? How do you utilize it? And then how do you treat the people that are around you, your wife, your kids? What type of information you're getting? How, when they see you that you're in conflict, what you said today, how is that going to be a wisdom experience for Lincoln? How is that going to be a wisdom experience for Chrissy, or, for April? The list goes on and on. I lost Emma's name for a second. Sorry, Emma. Sorry about that.
We'll get her on here soon too.
Yeah, she's
a silent but deadly. She is.
Yeah. So I just, I think you brought up some good points today, and it's stuff that we constantly grow on. And yeah, it happens a lot. I mean, I'm on the golf course with the guys, and we talk about that stuff, and we share different experiences, but you surround yourself who you're most comfortable with. I've also been around with people that, and have clients that do not have the same mindset or viewpoints that I do. However, we're in harmony together because we understand what each other's purposes, and that's everybody wants to have a good life,
or triggers, right?
Right.
So what somebody's triggers are, so you don't trigger those things to stay in harmony and still be friendly with them.
Right. And I think yes, and there's understanding there. It is, again, going back that it was what has been instilled to me for so long is someone pushes you too far, you've got to come out swinging and then show them that you can't take advantage of me. And sometimes, yes, that's good, but sometimes it is not good, especially if you do not handle it in the right way. And I don't know if that sounds like a word salad, but it's the point I'm trying to make is that you have to look at the situation, as you said. How is this going to change your life? What are you going to get out of it? But better yet is what does it do for the person that you're in conflict with? So there's that part, but there's also parts that goals could be conflicts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make $400,000 in gross commission income for the year of real estate. That now has become a conflict
with your schedule,
with my business, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, I have to do this. So now I worry about it. How am I going to do this? What customers am I going to talk to? What type of marketing am I going to do? Those are conflicts that would say, well, that's just part of business. Well, it's a conflict because you have to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Same thing with conflict. I want to become a better husband. These are the things that I'm not doing good.
Engineering opportunities.
Yeah. So that's why I said this earlier, is that's why conflict has a negative connotation to it, but it also could play into a very positive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, let's go out and create some conflict. People are like, what? And then you lay it down. No, this is the type of conflict we're going to create. How are we going to solve this problem?
Well, I'll tell you another little quick story. So, Gerard, thank you for listening, Gerard Morton. Appreciate you. He's one of my coaching clients. We talked this morning about purposely putting yourself in conflict by moving all of your money out of your working capital account into a money market account, and then not hooking that money market account up to the visuals in your QuickBooks, so you can't see that you have money saved. So you're looking at your operating account, and anytime it gets over $5,000, you transfer the balance to your money market. So you're always fighting that conflict of, I don't have enough money in the bank to pay my bills. So that way you don't get comfortable, right? So what ends up happening is, and you see this in your industry, get a big fat check, $17,000 today, and you're like, woohoo, don't have to work for a month.
Yep.
Well, what happens when you stop that train? So next month, you might have one that closes. But if you stop the train, then the following month, you got Zippo.
Yeah.
And so now you've yarded away that 17 grand. The next 17 grand's gone. And then the next month, you got a big goose egg, right? But if you had put yourself in conflict, celebrate the win for 5 minutes, transfer the money to where you can't see it, and put yourself purposely in conflict, would your success level be higher?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. If not 1,000% or 1,000,000% on that. That is a great mindset. Yeah, we get some pretty big checks. When we do good in real estate, we work our arses off to get those. So it's, that's a whole nother, I've got some podcasts. We've developed 3 podcasts in this episode. Anyway, but I think that's a good concept. But yeah, keep yourself in conflict. It drives, I've said this before, it drives Chrissy crazy that I don't celebrate more on this stuff. And I said, I haven't won a championship. I know where my championship is. I have a number in my head where that championship comes. The thing is once I get that championship, could happen this year, I have to create another conflict because that championship's over. That's what made Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady. They won it, but they created conflict. How am I going to do this after number 3?
Well, better yet, another discussion, probably for another podcast, is those people that you stated were winners, but their conflict was, how do I bring everybody with me to support me? So that way we win the championship, not just I win stats or I win a part of a game, right? Because if you don't, I don't know how many games are in a season, but if you have 40 games in a season and your stats are good, but everybody else is sucking wind, you're not going to get that championship ring or whatever it is, right?
Right.
And so you have to make sure that you and your conflict is in alignment with your whole team's conflict and everybody's on the same page.
Yeah. And I think that is, especially when you have that with your employees, right?
It goes back to leadership.
Yeah, it goes back to leadership. So absolutely. So you're going to have conflict with your team members. You're going to have conflict with your employees. I can bring out instances on my side right now, and I know that Brent and I have talked off camera about that stuff too. And everybody that has employees or some sort of leadership is going to have conflict, but it's also going to help not only you grow, but how you handle it, them grow as well. There's times that you like, okay, I'm just going to burn this down. We talked about this. Yeah. I'm doing this by myself. I can't, if you can't figure this out, I'm out. I'm not dragging you along anymore. Yeah. Well, now you've created a conflict. You promise somebody you're going to do this, this, and this, and this, and you're going to help them grow, but now you're going to bail and burn it down and leave them hanging there, not figure it out. So now your conflict is, how are you going to become a better communicator
and a better leader?
A better leader. Do I have to read more? Do I have to take a leadership class? Do I have to, there's just so many different things on here that you could do with that. But those are the positive side of conflicts that when Brent says like creating, what his original thought was, even though I came out with Mr. Negative Nancy on there. His original thought was this: are you creating conflict to go ahead and better yourself?
Right.
Not creating conflict to be an a-hole.
Well, and when I sent that text, I said, "Are you creating conflict?" Subject, right? Yeah, I didn't go into positive, negative, or otherwise.
Right.
Human nature is to be, conflict. So now I got to talk about a fist fight that I created, right? I got to throw myself under the bus and say I always create conflict because, I'm still struggling psychologically, or I'm this, or I'm that, or the next thing, right? And I would tell you, flip the script and start using conflict to create opportunities for success and winning.
Yeah. So create conflict. Create it.
Yeah.
Create it that's going to make you better. Create it that's going to make your neighbor better. Create it is not sit there. Again, I'm guilty of this, so I'm not telling you. I'm telling you from what I learned today, from my experiences that I had today, what Brent had today, was this morning that it happened with the paper guy?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Morning. Yeah.
Okay. So those are those conflicts, right? So we're going to go and take that instance that pissed us off. I hope YouTube doesn't flag us for me saying pissed and whatever.
Urinated off.
Yeah, urinated off, right? Something like that. Anyway, with what I'm getting back to is create conflict, but create conflict that's going to take you to a positive side, not to this curmudgeon side that I'm going to go sit up in a cabin in the mountainside and pull away from everybody and tell everybody to screw off.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the type of conflict that, first of all, that anybody wants. And I know that. I know everybody that, especially the people that I debated with today. If you're watching this, it's not that I don't agree with you. And I know that we created conflict between each other. It's the point of it is like I want us all to be in unison, and both of us at the end of the day, no matter who thinks that they're right or who thinks each other is wrong, that's pointless.
Mm-hmm.
The point of it is I think that we all want the same thing. And we all want to be great, and we want to all get along and do that stuff. Now, there's also going to be conflict. That's not always going to be the case, but there can be a semi-common thread of harmony, much more than it is right now in this world. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
But I'm literally sitting here right now. So I hope that you guys have watched this whole episode. We've given April her almost 45 minutes of content.
Yeah.
But so my conflict now is to regurgitate the day, even though, there's still time left in the day, is go back through my mind and relive moments and then make that a conflict, but a conflict if it's going to give me better wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what Brent's topic is, hoping that spurs something in you. What have you been in conflict with, and how can you take that conflict and help you become a better person?
Mm-hmm.
Somehow we spun that, thank you, Jesus, to something positive.
Oh, that's my goal, typically.
You did a good job today, dude.
And I believe, I haven't counted them yet, but I believe I cut my ums in over in half. So that's kind of like my personal conflict is to become a better speaker and to become a better deliverer without the ums or the uhs, right? So, and I just did it right there. So I caught myself, but I'll watch this back and I'll count them. And then hopefully next time I'll be in less conflict with myself because I will do a better job of not saying those things.
So those of you who just watched this whole episode, this is a giveaway. I want you to go through the whole episode and count Brent's ums. And if you're within 5, we will send you some merch.
Yep. That'd be great. That'd be great.
But however, we're going to put that through fact checkers because fact checkers are always right. Actually, that wasn't conflicted. That was sarcasm.
Well, right. That could be a trigger for conflict for people.
It could be. It could be. So, man, any final thoughts for you, brother?
Just keep going out and making a damn difference for you, your family, your community, and anybody you interact with during the day, react with or interact with. And, I would challenge you. Whenever you feel conflict, put a smile on your face purposely. Look in the mirror, put a smile on your face because you can't be mad and smiling at the same time. I promise you. It's impossible.
Yeah. The funny thing that, again, Trigger, thank you for saying that. Look in the mirror is a good one.
Yeah.
We just did a post the other day. If you're feeling overwhelmed, and it's very easy to feel overwhelmed right now with as much as going on, just stepping away from the computer, stepping away from the phone, mm-hmm. and then getting outside and taking a look around and say, you know what, thank you, God, or thank you, whoever you want to be thanking for.
Yeah.
Thank you, God, for for what you've given me here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like looking in the mirror. So if it's raining outside, go look, do what Brent says. If it's nice and sunny outside, go do what I said. But it's on our what do I want to call it? Instagram, Team Armstrong Reel.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's it, guys. Thank you so much. Hey, this is serious. This is a little bit serious right now. We really need your help to get this show out. You know, we don't ask a lot. We don't take, as I said, we don't have advertisers. We don't have sponsors. We don't have influencers and stuff like this. So this is grassroots. So I know a lot of you watch on there. We have 55 subscribers, and I know you guys do really good to watch it. I need you guys to spread this show. So when you watch it, if you like something on there, if I said something today that offended you, let me know about it. Put it in the comments. I'm cool with that. It's either on YouTube, either on Spotify. If Brent said something that really kind of playing good cop, bad cop here. If Brent said something that really inspired you, like it inspired me today, let him know what the comments are. But most of all, guys, I think there's this subject line. There's a lot of gold nuggets in here that really get out and just share the show. Just one person. And I'm not telling you to go ahead and put it on Facebook to give it to 5,000 people. Give it. Take the link. Put it in your messages or your text and say, hey, check this out and tell me what you think. That's all we ask. Just one. So besides that, guys, have a great week. Go find some conflict and make it to where your life will be going. Make it a positive. Yep. And I'm going to go figure that out on my own. But until we see each other next week, and I'm probably going to talk to Brent again about it sooner or later. He is Brent is not my therapist, but he's my therapist.
So there'll be a bill in your Christmas stocking. How about that?
I will say that. And then I don't want to leave, and I know that we're kind of going on to this. For this, you know, typically I tell everybody what Brent does. And yes, he's a successful business owner on many different levels with multiple businesses. But if you do like the things that Brent has said today, he does have business coaching and personal coaching. So take that, let that digest in you. And if there's things that you really need to talk out, I mean, yes, we would love you to be on the show and talk it out through that way. But I mean, real easy to find.
Linktree, Brent Wright.
Yep. There you go. For the second, third, fourth, and fifth and last time, guys, have a great week. Stay safe. Most of all, God bless. Take care.